Hello, my
Hello
angels. I would like to
everyone,
just tell
I
you
am
about the
Hera
themes of
and
the
I would
novel Hard
like to
Times written
just
by
teach
Charles
you
Dicken,
about
which
the
is
themes of the novel Hard
industrialization,
Times
reason, and
by Charles Dicken.
imagination, childhood, and
So,
love, starting
starting
with
with
the
the first theme, which
industrialization.
is
So, here you go.
industrialization, secondly, reason and imagination, thirdly, childhood, and fourthly, love. So, the first theme of Hard Times by Charles Dickens is industrialization. Actually, in the 19th century, all the industrialization and urbanization flourished. There were factories that flourished. There are even multiple references and texts which highlight the theme of industrialization. There are few of the characters like Mr. Bonderby, Stephen Blackpool, Mr. Gradgrind. Like these are the characters that more talks about facts rather than fancy. There were no concept of emotions and sentiments. The narrator also makes multiple references of the middle class as well as the upper class and talks about the attitudes of the upper class towards their vices like immoral behavior. And industrialization is also considered to be which created an economic class structure that determined the course of every individual's life with little mobility existing between the classes. And if you have read the novel, so you would have come across Stephen Blackpool, the character which really industrial system denies him. The character of Mr. Bonderby, like he is so evil, he is so such a liar, he like cannot be called an honest person. People at that time became more selfish, and they became so self-centered, so insolent their behavior could be called, and they became at last hedonists. If you do not know the meaning of hedonist, so it is a word which is used for the people who become selfish, and it is the opposite of utilitarianism. uh, like the son of Mr. Gradgrind, who was Tom, so he became hedonist at the end of the novel. We discover it because he totally do things which he thinks that it would be in his favor. Like he does not think of his sister, he does not think of his father, who are so true, whereas he steals just the money from the bank, and he became such a corrupt person at the end of the novel. Talking about the condition of the factory, so the owner at that time lived in filthy conditions. They were not paid proper wages, they did not had enough of the resources to fulfill their basic needs, and the atmosphere of the 19th century became very polluted. There was massive addition of factories were built, and the production of machinery of manufacturing mines were expanded to provide coals to power steam engines like railways. And lastly, London became famous for its thick fog. And at that time, like there were no serious attention was paid to the environmental conditions. As I have talked about the factory conditions, so definitely there comes the heading of living conditions at that time. How people used to live at that time. Life outside the factories were scarcely better than the conditions within the factories. Within the factories, the workers were paid with low wages, and people just shifted from rural to urban areas. There were a lack of sanitation. A serious problem was considered to be outbreak of disease were not usual, especially in manufacturing centers in northern England. In Hard Times, Dickens provides less explicit descriptions of the living conditions of the factory workers, and certain characters are related to each and every theme of Hard Times. Child labor was considered to be very common, and it was not considered as bad. Back then, there was no such, like you can say, awareness within the people. And some children worked in within the factories because they had no families, and some children worked in factories because their family was really very poor and poverty was a lot back then. Irony and satire can also be seen in hard times, as Charles Dickens critically highlights the irony and satire within the societies. He exaggerates, illustrates, and criticizes serious social, political, economic problems during the years after industrialization had taken a firm hold in the society. Talking about the second theme of the novel Hard Times, which was written by Charles Dickens. So, the second theme is reason and imagination. Reason is considered to be the facts, and imagination is considered to be the emotions, fancy, or sentiments. Back then in the 19th century, people less care about the emotions and excessively cared about the facts. Their life dealt with facts more, and that's why most of the characters in the novel failed in their life. Taking an example of two of the children of Mr. Gradgrind, the Tom and Louisa, who just failed in their life. Louisa was not able to handle her marital life, whereas Tom went a step ahead and he just destroyed his life by involving himself in gambling or something very disreputable activities. Mr. Bondabai, who more cared about money, or can say facts rather than fancy or emotions, and therefore he married Louisa, and their marital life came to an end finally. Mr. Gradgrind was a teacher at a school, and he more preferred facts over fancies. And in the earlier scenario, their teacher's aim was to just teach facts to the students and just eliminate the I would say the emotional stage of the students, and do not teach them that they have to deal their life with emotions, or in some aspects I can say. And therefore most of the students just failed in their life. They became really very notorious in their lives. At the end of the novel, Louisa comes to her father and just complains about her life, that there is something which is missing in her life, and she is very confused about it. She cries a lot, and she's not able to just make her father understand her. And it's all because that students or the children that do not come across with arts, literature, aesthetics, beauty, nature in their life. Childhood is considered to be the third theme of the Hard Times, which is written by Charles Dickens. So, while explaining childhood, so there are few characters like Tom and Louisa, Sissy, Jupe, and their childhood was totally it emphasized on facts and rejecting imaginations, which led to an unbalanced emotional life. As we have already talked about Louisa, that her marital life was totally wasted and destroyed. And if we talk about Tom, so emphasis on facts just deprived him of the pleasures of childhood, and he was further entitled to gambling or activities which were not considered to be good. And he also stole money from bank. And the third character is Sissy Jupe, who was really considered to be very in failure in studies, and she just got a balance between her life, and she just spent her life with a blend of both fancy and facts, and therefore she succeeded in living her life peacefully and happily. And even her father just passed away, still she had a hope in her heart that yes, one day my father will again come and meet me and love me. And she really had imaginations influenced her in one way, we can say it. The fourth theme is love. So there is really a connection of love between a lot of characters, like the family love of Tom, Louis, and Mr. Gradgrind, and therefore we can further talk about the Stephen Blackpool and Raphael. Their love was an immense between both, but then the Stephen Blackpool died, just falling into a pit. And we can also mention that Mr. Gradgrind's love for Sissy, a fatherly love. Here my video ends, and I hope that this video would help you all, because my only just aim of making these videos, I just started it, and I just really believe that it would help you out in doing English or BS English or BA or MA in English language. And I really hope that you would like my video. Kindly subscribe, like, and comment, and if you have any queries, kindly inbox me, or you can freely comment within the comment section below. Thank you.